All comes down to this.
We got you covered right up till kickoff.
The Miami Hurricanes, a 10 seed built on pressure. The Indiana Hoosiers, undefeated and dominant. Spread, total, player props, insights across the full betting board. National championship coverage.
And I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
I'll be double checking the list twice.
Only on SportsGrid.
The immediate word on the street in Philadelphia and outside is that the best guy for the job would be Brian Dable. It's like all you have to do is spend an hour of your life with me and Tyrone every day, and you're going to learn so much and be prepared for future conversations. Because I told you this back in November.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Pro football today on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi with you on the Sunday morning before we close out the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. We've got 2 in the barn, 2 more to come, Joe. Yesterday, the Denver Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills in overtime, and in about an hour or so following that victory, find out Bo Nix is done for the season. He is having ankle surgery on Tuesday. Despite having home field advantage, of course, for the AFC Championship game, Denver profiles as a likely underdog where Jarrett Stidham will get the start.
Right, and Bo Nix played well yesterday. Put his team in a position to pull out that ball game 33-30. Made plays on the ground. Also hit Lil Jordan Humphrey, Marvin Mims on multiple touchdown passes. Really showcased that he progressed in year number 2 from that loss in Buffalo just last year in the playoff game against Josh Allen. And that defense stepped up when they had to make plays. They did it. They forced some turnovers. But again, now after you get the victory, right? You know that your starting quarterback's down, and now it really puts all the pressure on that defense to potentially get back to a Super Bowl. We'll see if they could do it. I mean, Stidham is an experienced quarterback, so that's a good thing, but it's an uphill battle, even though they'll be at home.
Yeah, an uphill battle is an appropriate way to describe it. I think for Denver, they will have to lean, though, on what many people believe is, at worst, a top 3 defense in the National Football League. The fact that they are home, the fact that Sean Payton is a Super Bowl winning head coach. And this is a team, Joe, who certainly didn't have an easy task on their hands on Saturday. Playing a Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills team that scored 30 points, yet you look at that game, turnover after turnover after turnover. Do you believe the turnovers were the biggest problem? Of course, we're going to break down this game a ton more, but do you right now feel as if turnovers were the biggest issue for Buffalo yesterday?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when James Cook puts the ball on the turf with about, in the second quarter, I mean, that could have been a 14-3 football game. They could have dictated the tempo, maybe stayed with the rushing attack a little bit longer. Now, I know Cook had over 100 yards in that matchup, but they were running the football and starting to assert themselves with a 14-3 lead. It's a little bit different than when you're trailing in that type of situation. And again, we talked about the lack of explosiveness at the wide receiver core. Shakir, Keon Coleman. They scraped Mecole Hardman off the street to score a touchdown. I mean, just a patchwork receiving core, and you had to rely on the big dogs of Cook and obviously Josh Allen. They did that to a certain capacity. But Kev, the turnovers were critical, but the weakness of this football team was the wide receivers and the defense, and we talked about it throughout the regular season. That defense couldn't really stop anybody. They had a great performance in Jacksonville last week against an inexperienced team, a young football team with a young football coach coaching in his first playoff game. Mm-hmm. And on this they were back-to-back road games against one of the most dominant home field advantages, a dominant home team that was 8-1 at home and had won by double digits with a Super Bowl winning coach. Yeah. And so you had to say the coaching advantage, the defense, the home field advantage all stacked in Denver's favor. And in an even game, that's why they were able to win it, I think, by 3 points.
Yeah, I think there's a lot for Buffalo to look at in that football game. I think they're going to have some conversations about the folks in charge of that operation, McDermott, Bean, but it's a tough loss. And you saw that they took that loss very hard. The Bills players all very, very emotional following that loss. In our second game, it landed a little differently. The San Francisco 49ers lose 41-6 to the Seattle Seahawks, and it was over right away. Rashid Shaheed, 95-yard kickoff return touchdown. A turnover on downs by the San Francisco offense set Seattle up to grab a field goal. And then a Jake Tonjes fumble set Seattle up for a touchdown. And this is a San Francisco 49ers team. Now, look, some of it was game script. I mean, Joe, they didn't punt until they had the backups in. But the game was over right out of the gate. And I think a lot of the reaction from San Fran is, what were we supposed to do? No Kittle, no Warner, no Bosa, no this, no that. You've got McCaffrey banged up in the game. I mean, I don't think you're going to give him a pass for this performance, it looks like.
No, I'm not. Look, they were undermanned. There's no doubt about that. But we're talking about Kyle Shanahan, the offensive wizard, the guru, and I talked about it with Donnie in the pregame, that they couldn't go into this game cookie cutter. They couldn't go in the way they went in weeks 18 with the number one seed on the line and just expect to run Christian McCaffrey and hope to grind out a victory. That wasn't the way they were supposed to do it. They had, which I believe, the quarterback advantage, meaning Purdy was experienced. Purdy was the guy that got to a Super Bowl. He had big game experience. He's the guy that you built this franchise around, right? You gave him the money to be the face of the franchise. Let him cook. And I understand that you're at a disadvantage, but you had to do something. Now, that tone was set right from the get-go with Shaheed breaking that touchdown, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're up against it, right? But you're down 7-0. There's no tempo. It's run McCaffrey. Get into predictable third downs. Mm-hmm. We know the offensive line was beat up. So what do? You give the advantage to Seattle's defense by battering Purdy in predictable third down situations. I mean, you just don't go, hey, we're at a disadvantage. It's the NFL, man. Mm. You have an opportunity to go to the NFC Championship. I mean, if we take the same approach, right, is Peyton just going to lay out with Stidham at the helm? I mean, that's my point.
I hear you.
And I know it's a little bit different. They're on the road. They're not a number one seed. Nobody expected us to get this far. But can you show out a little bit? Can you have a little pride? I mean, divisional matchup, you get beat up again? Look, it's one thing to lay up, but again, game plan-wise, it was vanilla, and that was the problem that I had.
Yeah, we're going to get more into this game. Maybe it says a little bit about who the Seahawks not only are, but who they have been throughout this season, and a lot of people have felt that the two best teams in the NFC are the Seahawks and the Rams. We'll see if the Chicago Bears can upset that part three that many have wanted. One thing that's certainly noteworthy,
lines work back towards Chicago. These numbers were out to 4.5 on Friday. There's still some 4s, but 3.5s, Joe. No 4.5s anywhere out there. Some buy coming in on this Bears team in the New England and Houston game. More Pats money. The hook appearing on some spots. 3.5 for the Patriots.
Well, think about yesterday. Both number one seeds win. The home team wins and they cover, right?
Yep.
So and both overs yesterday. Even the late game sneaks over the 44.5. So what do you expect today? Do we believe the favorites are going to cover and the home team step up? I think at least one, right? And I think one is a dog, and I think that's Chicago. I think when you look at the games and you say, okay, Houston without Nico Collins, how do they attack it?
Yep.
They could get. It's a similar style because I think you and I would be in agreement. We're not enamored with the wide receiver core for New England, right? So you want to just. I mean, there's some young talent there. I'm not going to take away, but you're not wowed by it. So all things being equal, I think that's a pretty evenly matched game, even without Nico Collins in that lineup. I think if you take the wide receiver core, Higgins and Knoll and Hutchinson, and match them up with, Booty and Diggs, I think you're okay. So defense now, obviously Houston gets the advantage, but, quarterback-wise, we think it's C.J. Stroud. But, Kev, very inconsistent. It wasn't due to C.J. Stroud making plays. Yes, he put up numbers and hit Kirk on multiple targets, but he turned the football over multiple times against an mediocre defense in Pittsburgh. So I think New England's obviously favored for a reason, and they'll be in this game. But I think Chicago's live today.
I am excited to break those games down. But we go back to Denver. The Broncos without Bo next on Pro Football.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi. We want to start with yesterday. We're, of course, going to preview these games. We've got our crunch, everything that you need to get involved with the Texans, the Patriots, the Bears, and the Rams. But, Joe, the Broncos win that game 33-30. And there's a lot of different ways that we can walk here. Denver closes as the favorite, obviously covering, close to pick-up number. The game goes well through your total, sitting now with 63 points scored in that game. What was your biggest takeaway from that football game? What stood out to you the most watching Broncos-Bills?
Well, I really believe that Bo Nix is one of the top quarterbacks in the conference. I believe that he elevated that. He throws for 279 yards. We talk about the inexperience of Bo Nix, but again, this is a team and a player that I was very critical of when he was at Auburn. But since he went to Oregon and since he's been in the NFL, I think he's proved that he could overcome adversity. He stepped up in a big spot. I think he outplayed, to a degree, Josh Allen yesterday.
There's certainly an argument.
And when the game was on the line, prior to him breaking his ankle, put his team. I mean, that throw to Marvin Mims was a dime.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just saying, big picture, he would have been that new face of the league potentially, like we talk about Mahomes when he won his first title. And again, it's not an elite wide receiver core. He did it with backups just the way Josh was doing it. I mean, little Jordan Humphrey, Marvin Mims, this isn't the Red River rivalry. These guys are far removed from their star power in college. And I mean, he throws for 279. I mean, that's the most impressive thing to me. I mean, everybody talked about the defense. Everybody talked about Sean Payton. Everybody was quick to say, well, Allen over Nix. Allen over Nix because of the playoff experience, because of Josh being Josh. But I came away more impressed with Bo Nix and his ability to step up and overcome some mistakes, but put his team in a position to be in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, look, I think Josh Allen is still much, much better than Bo Nix. I think ultimately, play for play, Josh was better than Bo. I think the fact that it feels debatable is probably an easy reason to explain to anybody why this game went the way it did, because it's not supposed to be close. That is the gap that you need Josh Allen to put out there well ahead of Bo Nix. But I think, Joe, for me, one thing that resonates, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Bo Nix, but Sean Payton does not seem to be getting anywhere near enough credit for who he is and what he has done. I've noticed, I don't know, Sean Payton does not seem to be super well liked. Maybe some of that's brought onto himself. That's to each his own. I was somebody who thought Sean Payton was going to have a chance in the Coach of the Year race. They were the number one seed. They knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. It's all about the linebacker in Boston who tackles his own players, or it's about one of the 40-year-olds coaching in the NFC. And not that those aren't deserving candidates. Sean Payton was never in the conversation.
Right.
Despite the fact that nobody thinks Bo Nix is all that good. You know what I mean? Like, nobody actually thinks Bo Nix is all that good. If you would have said, hey, the defense of Denver, which is supposed to be their calling card, allows 30 points, this Broncos team is probably done. And yet, they weren't. We talk about the pedigree still going on in the postseason, right? People were betting Josh Allen because of his pedigree. I'm not saying that I don't understand that. But the coaching pedigree massively shaded towards Sean Payton. He's a Super Bowl winner who has not lost a game off a bye or a mini bye since coming back to Denver. That's just the way it lines up. And I think that the idea of betting on a coach should maybe be as common, Joe, as betting on a quarterback or betting against a coach. Because I think a lot of people today who bet on Buffalo are blaming at most, if not more, Sean McDermott for the loss. Simply because it feels that whenever these Josh Allen Buffalo Bills seasons come to a close, it is never because they lost the game 17-13, right? And I know that defense had moments. I would be lying if I said they didn't. But they gave up 33. And last year to Kansas City, they gave up 32. And then 27. And then 20. It's just like so often they give up loads of points in the postseason, Joe. And it's why I think it is fair if you're Buffalo, who has done all of this winning, to not actually do that much winning then when the postseason begins. To ask if Sean McDermott is the guy to get Josh Allen to the promised land.
No, I don't think he is. And I'm going to say that right away. And I agree with you on Peyton getting more love. I will not push back on the Knicks situation, but I just, I understand he's not Pat Mahomes, he's not Josh Allen. But I certainly think he's better than Stroud, and I think he's better than Drake May, and I think this year he's proved that he's better than Justin Herbert. I mean, look at some of the games: 295 against Kansas City, 321 against Washington, 302 against Green Bay, 352 against Jacksonville. I know he lost that game, but I mean, he's putting up dynamic numbers, and I know a portion of that is Sean Payton. But, I mean, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I mean, but he runs, too. I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's elite, but I'm saying I think he's better than some of the other guys that we're pumping up as some of the young players, like May and like Herbert. I would take Bo Nix over both of them right now. But I will say this, to your point about McDermott. They have garbage talent, too. And, you know, the defense was supposed to be his calling card for the most part, and he's made some adjustments. But the defense isn't physical. The defense at times creates turnovers. In the interior line, Ed Oliver was supposed to be all-world, right? He hasn't been that type of player.
Got injured again in the game.
Rousseau was supposed to be that elite, dominant edge rusher. Hasn't really turned into that. And so you are what you are. I mean, here's the problem, Kev. The problem is it's Josh Allen and James Cook and then everybody else. They have B talent around them at every level. They don't have a Nick Bonito. They don't have, they have washed-up talent. Milano's old. All these guys.
Yeah, I think defensively there are some questions that you can ask. They are far more talented offensively than they're given credit for.
But let me ask you this. Are we, like, if you had any offensive talent or any team you want, are you picking McDermott?
No.
But that's the point.
But, Joe, here's the only thing, though.
Are you picking I need him?
But we can't rewrite history. They opened as favorites in the game, closed as 1.5, right? They obviously had their chances within this game. We get to game number 2, Seattle and San Francisco. Who did we learn more about in that game? We'll tell you after the break. It's right here on a Sunday morning on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Okay, Pro Football Today, back with you here on SportsGrid. Seattle 41, San Francisco 6. Joe, if we were to think, hey, who did we learn more about yesterday? Seattle, San Francisco. My take personally, neither.
It's the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the fact that Kevin Patullo shouldn't be allowed to watch Eagles games, forget coach Eagles games. It's that Nick Sirianni's job should be reevaluated watching that game. Yesterday's Niners performance wasn't pitiful, sure, but they didn't belong in the divisional round. They were a bandaged squad. They were a team who was able to get there through competent coaching and a light schedule, all in all. I don't mean to take away from their season, but this is a football team who lost player after player after player after player and went into Philadelphia as a 6-point underdog and multiple times looked like they were ready to tap out, but realized the Philadelphia Eagles had no interest in getting out of their way. So, hey, why not steal the game, even if we're going to get our heads beat in by the Seattle Seahawks? And the thing is, I sincerely mean that. I do. I know people will chalk that up to me being an Eagle fan, and that's fine. But watching that game, most of the time, all I could think about was the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
Because the defense is the same. It wasn't, the defense played out of their minds last week. Nope. Same defense. And offensively, the Niners, I know last week they got to 23 against Philly, right? Mm-hmm. They had the trick play touchdown, the opening drive where, DeMarcus Robinson looked like the best receiver ever, and then he couldn't do anything the rest of the game. Then he's talking a whole bunch of nonsense. All right, thanks, DeMarcus, brother. 1 for 1 in this game. Cool. Go on another podcast. Enjoy that long, lengthy career you're setting up for yourself. Quinyon Mitchell will make more All-Pros this year than you will ever make in your Madden career. The reality is, this San Francisco 49ers team was lifeless just last week as they were this week.
Right.
It's that the Eagles are so poorly ran, they allowed this Niners team to get through.
You're going to love this reference. You know who the Eagles are?
Go ahead.
Or were in that game? John Cena.
Okay.
They tapped out.
Okay.
Champ that tapped out. Didn't have the killer instinct, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Right? Comes back.
Sure.
They're in the mix.
Yeah.
Right? Everything for the taking. They get punched in the mouth a little bit. They're tapping out like John Cena.
But punch you in the mouth.
That's am I wrong?
I don't know.
Come on. You're up in the first half. You're cooking. You're cooking. Forget Patullo. They're running the football with Sasquatch Barkley.
Kenneth Walker yesterday probably got to his phone and sent his highlights to Saquon and said, "See, pretty easy." Just in all seriousness, though.
Oh, okay.
No, because I can already hear the phone calls. They spent the whole Seahawks-Niners game talking birds. What do you for Seattle?
Yeah.
Do you take this game and do you come away saying, you know what, they're just the best team in the NFC? Like, they're going to be favorites in the championship game.
I think they have
I'll
put it this way. I think their defense is as good as anybody out there. They have the best defense, I believe. However, I'm going to say this again. I don't think we learned anything about Sam Darnold in that game.
That's a great take.
Okay? Because right from the get-go, Shaheed set the tone, and the 49ers quit, in my opinion. Okay? They got hit with the first uppercut in the first round, and that game was over before you could blink. Right? So for me, yeah, they got the win and all the oblique with Darnold. We haven't learned a stitch about Sam Darnold elevating in a big spot. Okay? So he got a playoff win. Congrats. Next week, we'll know whether Sam Darnold is for real or not. Because no matter who they play, the Rams or the Bears, he's going to have to do something offensively and can't rely on the defense because those offenses, I believe, no matter who they play, especially if it is Chicago, they have a team that's hitting on all cylinders and can stress you at every level with a confident quarterback who, by the way, let's be honest, they haven't really played a mobile quarterback all year. They got Caleb in that type of situation.
Right.
I'm just saying that's another added dimension.
So I'm not sure that, Caleb would be some house of horrors for them.
No, I'm not.
No, but what I do agree with is I think Seattle took that game for granted a little bit they realized the Niners were done and the Seahawks just wrapped the game up. They said, all right, cool. There's nothing they can do. Then why are we bothering? And I thought the perfect example of that was the 4th and 2 at the 6 field goal they took.
That's a gross decision. It was lazy. And Joe, now again, maybe you'll say it's because Darnold wasn't 100%, and if that's the case, you have to give him some grace. That was a game to let Darnold cook and just be comfortable and throw it, because I think you will need that no matter who they play next week, and I think they took those moments for granted. I think you are spot on with that. Let's continue to talk some divisional round, what's coming up today after the break.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Pro football today, where the people are wondering, do we spend this next segment talking Pats Texans, or do we try and recalibrate and figure out Evan Ingram props? I guess we'll push that off another week.
Not right by you.
I want the best for you.
No, you
but
don't.
You don't want the best for yourself. And that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm just saying. Every week with this Evan Ingram. It's every week. Like, honestly. You guys want to know something? I walked in the office today. I didn't get a word out before Lisi said, I think Stidham next week goes to Evan Ingram. That's out of control, people.
I just don't understand why you have a tight end running routes if you don't throw it to him. I just don't get it.
So, Pats Texans, and let's get to what's important. Schultz or Henry?
Neither. It'll be Cade Stover. Watch. It'll be Cade Stover and a backup.
Because there's too many expectations on these tight ends. Let's talk side. Let's talk total. 3.5 spread, 40.5 number, Joe, for this listed total here. What of those options do you find most enticing in this game?
Well, I mean, side-wise, I am on New England, all right? I do feel New England at home could pull this game out. Total-wise, I'm leaning to the over. I actually think we can get points in this game. Out of both games today, I mean, and you'll see the best bet a little bit later.
Yeah.
Could be a shocker to you.
Well, I just gave myself a spoiler.
All right, so I think we could have points here. Again, I think playing at home, Drake May and that offense have to at least challenge over the top and put some pressure on C.J. Stroud. We saw what happens when you have more of a vanilla type of game plan and just want to play for field goals like Pittsburgh did. That defense will choke you out. Prop-wise, I'm on secondary options. I do like Kyle Williams through his total today. Touchdown-wise, I took a shot on Xavier Hutchinson on the Houston side. I think Hutchinson could be a third option for C.J. Stroud and that passing attack. But wouldn't shock me if we get into the mid-40s in this game, which I think is doable, especially if New England pushes a little bit of tempo. I think they were willing last week with LA, knowing how, I want to say, handcuffed that offense was to a certain capacity. I don't think in this game they could go or ill afford to play that style with that defense.
So the side of this game has tripped me up a few times. We were able to see on the Monday with Steelers-Texans still needing to play out the hypothetical lines that had it at -1.5. I feel though these hypothetical lines, Joe, seem to move now more often than not. Like, I'm not entirely sure because, you remember we had the hypothetical line for Miami, Indiana. That got like 3 points added to it. It was a 5.5, 8.5. But with this up to 3, with this up to 3.5 here, there is some interest for me to take the dog. So, you know what's really interesting?
Do you think it's disrespectful that Houston?
I do. Because
see, I look at it the other way.
If you justify it through the Nico Collins lens, I'll listen to it. But Joe,
this is the best defensive front, supposedly.
And I think it is.
Okay, so if it is,
I think they are the best defense in the league. I think they're the most well-balanced defense in football.
I agree. Okay, I'm not taking that. I'm not discounting that front seven led by Will Anderson.
Yep.
I agree 100%. And that secondary, has shut down quarterbacks throughout the regular season.
Yep.
Some of the more explosive offenses, including Josh Allen.
Yep.
But you have a quarterback in C.J. Stroud now that has multiple games under his belt, and there's one game.
So that's what I was going to say.
And for them to be, it's not a 1.5 point favorite like we saw Knicks. It's a significant 3.5 point favorite. So that is why I like New England, because. And you know how I look at it. I look at the line and I say that line to me should have been like a 1.5. Or for me, knowing how good they have been and how dominant that they were, even though it's back-to-back road games, it would have been justified, I believe, if Houston was a 1.5 point favorite. It wouldn't shock me.
The Texans haven't lost a game since November 2nd.
But that's my point. So for them to catch a field, they're catching the same line that the Chargers caught.
No, right. Again, Collins.
But Collins is Collins that much of a factor when he only catches 50 yards a game?
But I think that's why it could be a bit of an overreaction. But you hit on something. So this is the interesting thing. I'm going to double talk myself a little bit. But C.J. Stroud has played 5 playoff games. Right. That is not a small amount of playoff experience,
and
right?
He's won.
Now, he's won every wild card game. He's lost every divisional round game so far. But I'm just saying.
But he's played much better teams. He's been underdogs in every game.
So this is where I say I'm going to double talk myself.
Right.
I do think New England is good. And I think, it's fine. We can debate it, but we have so much to get to. Like, I think your Bo Nix Drake May comment is insane. I think Drake May's universe is better than Bo Nix. I think Drake May is an elite quarterback. I don't think that his season is. I'm
having people in Boston bash me for the same thing, but Bo Nix. Bo Nix has a playoff win. Does Drake May?
Yes.
Last week. All right, against a guy. Right, but yeah, but let me. You're right. But Bo Nix has made play. Where Bo Nix threw for
Drake
270.
did not. So again.
Drake May threw checkdowns to Ramondre Stevenson for 75 yards.
Week, I thought had a very ugly first half, but unlike what we just said, what we said about Seattle, New England kept throwing. They kept throwing, and they said, we got to get this guy into a rhythm.
Let me ask you a question.
I thought that late touchdown drive that ended on the 30-yarder to Hunter Henry was a big deal.
Okay, but let me just say this. We have a team in the Chargers and their quarterback that is 0-3 now in the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay, and you could say from an identity standpoint was struggling offensively. Let's just talk about it what it was. Okay, so he won that game. Congrats.
Okay.
You have Bo Nix that beat potentially an MVP quarterback yesterday. Okay, and no matter how beat up they are, a team that has been to the AFC Championship game multiple times, and he puts up 279 and battles it out with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, And that doesn't count for it. I know he broke his ankle. Forget
I'm
that.
not saying
I'm
that
just
doesn't
saying,
count.
but why are we discounting Bo Nix? What has Drake May done? That is more, but wait a second, that is more impressive than what Bo Nix has done in 2 years.
Drake May's going to finish top 2 in MVP voting.
So what?
That's not a so what. That matters.
But
that absolutely matters.
But what did Drake?
That absolutely matters.
Why does that matter?
Because it shows the level.
Because
the
Bo
level that
Nix
you're
led
playing
this team
at.
to a #1 overall seed.
Because I think the Denver Broncos season was more about
Which is a harder conference, the AFC West or the AFC East?
I actually think this year they ended up with some similarities. Because I think Buffalo was better than the Chargers. And now, listen, they're the ones who knocked out the Chiefs, in my opinion. The Raiders ended up being the worst team in football.
All right, so let me ask you this. If New England gets boat raced today.
Joe, I bet Denver to make the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I think that Bo Nix was being undersold. I'm not. You might be a little too high on Bo Nix, but I think you're definitely too low on Drake May.
Okay, that's fair. That's fine. But I'm just saying, if you're asking me, it's like not even a conversation. I understand Drake May has done great things, and I understand that Drake May put the New England back on the map, and this is now hopefully in their eyes and the fan base's eyes an opportunity to get back to the Patriot way.
Yeah.
But if we're looking not just at the body of work, I mean, Bo Nix led his team last year in his first year to a playoff run, and now the #1 seed, and we're discounting what he's done because of what?
Well, again, I am not attempting to discount Bo Nix. What I am talking about is Drake May leading the NFL in completion percentage, leading the NFL in yards per attempt, leading the NFL in QBR, finishing top 2 in MVP. And I thought coming on, and I'll say this, when I look at this game, though, Joe, I think a little bit, I look at this total, I think both quarterbacks might be being undersold. One thing that I've not bet right now, but this happens a lot, was you and I talk through games here, and people probably confuse how I got here through this conversation, but I promise it makes sense to at least Joe and I. I'm probably going to bet both these quarterbacks to throw over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
I think that's doable. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they go for 250 plus, but you need New England playing at home to dictate that type of tempo because Houston is very confident just playing rope-a-dope.
But I think that's why we can get there today, because I think Houston might be actually forced to play some real football in this game. Bears-Rams next.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Pro football today on SportsGrid. Bears, Rams, You have been waiting for this one, I know, because last week you said it. You screamed it from the mountaintops. Not just that the Bears would beat the Green Bay Packers, but that when they did, the Chicago Bears would become your team. That Street Ball Williams, as you call him, would become your guy. So, Joe, the floor is yours. Bears at home against the big bad Rams.
Yeah, it's a great matchup. And again, I think people are discounting the Bears' win last week and saying it has more to do with potentially Matt LaFleur and what he didn't do in the second half. And I understand that to a certain degree, but I also buy into the fact that Chicago was able to make both offense and defensive adjustments to put themselves in a position. And again, I believe in this offensive identity. And what I do feel is important, and we talk about OCs and we talk about head coaches, especially the ones that do call their own plays, like McVay and obviously, Ben Johnson. And my point is, Ben Johnson sort of felt out Green Bay last week, and they were relentless in the second half of that game. And what I mean by that is there's certain teams that attack sideline to sideline that love bubble screens. And then there's teams that attack vertically.
Yep.
And I love the teams that attack vertically when they have a quarterback because they're able to get back into games quicker and they're able to just challenge and stress no matter how dominant the defense is at every level. And when you have playmakers and running backs, more importantly, that can catch, like Monungai, like DeAndre Swift, it really stresses a defense and can gas them in critical parts of a game. And I just believe Chicago now has that offensive identity. I consider them the team like Washington last year that just caught fire at just the right time. They have a hot quarterback that now all of a sudden is confident in the philosophy, is confident that he's the guy, that is confident on the quarterback to wide receiver relationship and has built multiple just unbelievable talent around. Like, he's elevated Colston Loveland to a certain, like, to now that star tight end. He's elevated Adunze. He's gotten DJ Moore back involved in that. I'm just so impressed more with Chicago than I am with LA. And I'll just say this. I think people are discounting the fact of how cold this game will be today.
Okay.
And I understand that Stafford's played in it, Kyron's played in it, Devontae, you go across Puka, and Blake Corum. I all get that. They played in either college or the NFL. And they played last year in this environment with Philly. But I think this is a tall order. I really do. And again, I'm not sold on LA's defense being elite. I think they've been actually exposed.
Okay.
And this is where I do give the edge to Ben Johnson now. And people will say, well, McVay's talking to LaFleur. Let him talk to LaFleur. LaFleur got his ass kicked last week in the second half. I mean, Ben Johnson is a cocky play caller, but he's also got talent and a quarterback that's humming, and I'm going to take those points today.
So I think that the Chicago Bears offense has earned a lot of respect for this season as a whole. I think Caleb Williams has cemented himself as a consensus top 10 quarterback in football, and Ben Johnson probably is a top 10 head coach in this league. And it's a group of weapons I think we knew had talent. We didn't know how it would shake out. We're starting to get that vision. It really does feel like Caleb and Colston Loveland, from a production standpoint, because the winning's a whole nother thing, can give you Mahomes, Kelsey vibes. I think Burden is a real player. I think Rome is a real player. And it makes, DJ's another guy. The Swift Monungai backfield works. There's all these, Zacchaeus appearances. So offensively, there's a lot to like. The problem is they really are not very good defensively.
No.
And that is through injury and talent, and it's what we have seen all year long. And it's a Green Bay team, Joe, that really let them off the hook last week. And I just think this Rams offense, who last week, despite scoring 34, left points out there. I think they know they left points out there. I think they understand because they're playing in this cold environment, right? You know my least favorite phrase in football is all of a sudden?
We know points are going to be at a premium in this game. Every time they say it on a broadcast, they go, all right, let's rip up the over ticket because some coaching staff somewhere told them we don't have no interest in scoring. I don't think this should be a points at a premium game. I think this should be the Rams ready to play football. And that means offensively ready to play football because they have the horses, Joe, in this game to be in the 30s without issue.
That's possible. And again, we'll see. Styles make fights, right?
Sure.
And I'm not going to lie to you and say Chicago's defense is elite. No. But what I have seen out of Chicago is I've seen this team time and time again, and we talk about the mark of a good and great college coach as NFL coach being that in-game type of adjuster, and that's why I can't stand McDaniel and happy that they got rid of him in Miami. But we've seen time and time again, not just the offense with Ben Johnson, but the defense make adjustments. As bad as they are, they still make adjustments to put themselves in a position to win games. And now we were talking about the Rams, led by Jared Verse, who I said would be Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, and he was. But they're not good. Like, they've been exposed now. They've been exposed for the last month and a half of the season. That's a garbage offense. I'm sorry, by Carolina. It's not good. It's not good. And there is nowhere near Bryce Young to where Caleb is right here, right now. They are head and shoulders, worlds apart. From a quarterback perspective, Caleb is now on that level where you give him the keys to the bus, he's going to put up 30. So what's the difference between Chicago now and what Buffalo has always been?
How do you
mean? Like, we always believe, like you said, I believe that defense stinks, and you're right. But what's the difference? We buy into Buffalo and them making a potential Super Bowl run because they can outscore anybody.
Right.
Do we believe? I'm just curious. If you think Chicago's defense stinks, are you buying into the Rams completely shutting down Caleb in this offense?
No, I'm not.
So then last team that has the football potentially can win it.
I think the issue is we have seen the Bears so often dig themselves a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't do that today, then we could be in for a classic. But if they do, and I know this works against, this game could very easily end 38-24 because they didn't give themselves enough a chance. Sunday Morning Crunch is
next. Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Husky, who you like?
Pro Football Today here on SportsGrid. I feel like the future of this segment could be, people just send their picks in. We let you know who is sending in the pick, and then we just get your honest assessment if that makes you like the other side more or less. Because that really, Lacey's during the break, like doing recon. He's reaching out to people, straight to the source, just needs to find intel.
I'm looking. I think yesterday.
Go ahead.
Terrible. I had Curtis Samuel over a half a reception.
Came in.
Yeah. Rashad Shaheed over 23.5.
Well.
Rashid Shaheed.
Well.
And then Jawan Jennings, 40.5. Star wide receivers don't get the ball.
Well, Jennings dropped.
New
dropped
NFL.
the winner.
New NFL. Number ones don't catch it. We go to the scrubs. Scrub City, baby. Second AFL guys that we scrape up off the street. That's the new NFL. Personnel changes. Don't put out the number ones and number twos. Put out the scrubs for red zone opportunities. They're all there. Bandy. Who else? Kate Stover today. Who are we going to scrape up? Kyle Williams. Who are we going to scrape up today?
Bad.
You know I'm right. JSN had 13 yards. Jawan Jennings had 23. Let's see. Sutton
Joe,
under
there was
total.
260 passing yards in the game. Who'd you want to eat? Who was supposed to eat with that?
Barner, did he have a catch?
No.
Starting tight end doesn't have a catch?
Arnold completed 12 passes.
All right.
5 of them with a Cooper Cup, and a bunch of them was screen
Cooper Cup.
passes.
I mean, all of a sudden, would he take oxygen before the game? I mean, seriously, what did he take before the game? We scrape up Cooper Washington.
The same shot that they gave Darnold so he could play through the injury, they gave the Cooper Cup, see if it would wake him up. All right, let's get to it. It's time for your Sunday morning crunch. I am horrified of the first one.
Why?
Horrified.
That's not nice.
No, I'll explain. Go ahead.
No. What? No, explain first.
Well, people don't know what I'm referencing, so let's take the cookie out of the jar and then we'll explain the ingredients.
Sure. So the first one is Xavier Hutchinson over his receiving total.
Yeah.
I think he could be a breakout star today.
Yeah.
Well, what's wrong with that?
No. Well, let's get to that now. So listen, here's the problem with that.
You want the breakdown? Xavier Hutchinson, with Nico Collins out, has experience, and he stepped up at the end of the regular season. And I think when we look at C.J. Stroud, Kirk stepped up last week. I hate going back to the same guy that everybody's going to put money on the following week, right? Christian Kirk, Could he do it? It's absolutely, but it's most likely going to be another option. What's the other veteran in that option? Potentially maybe the tight end in Dalton Schultz, but tight ends haven't been catching outside of Buffalo, so give me Xavier Hutchinson. What's the problem?
My problem is I feel as if our reasonings are often very different, so I feel like when we come to the same conclusion, it worries me. I like Xavier Hutchinson as well, not because Christian Kirk was good last week or because he's a low-level superstar bound to break out. He led the team in snap count last week. And we have seen him this season have legitimately big games when Nico Collins is out. Against a team who profiles as a dog and should be throwing, I think Xavier Hutchinson for 30 yards is a fantastic piece of business. Again, I just... Different maps, same destination. We'll see if we can get there. Give me the other two.
All right. The other two are on the Bears side. So I believe the rushing attack will take over for Chicago today because I do think that L.A. could give up yards on the ground. I'm not sold that this is a dominant front seven. I think they can be physical with them, and that means for me, DeAndre Swift over 54.5. And I like Caleb today. I like Caleb through his total. Again, 19.5 on the ground. We saw Bo Nix run yesterday. I know Bo didn't get through his total, but Josh Allen with 66 yards on the ground. In a must-win type of game, I believe Caleb will do whatever it takes. And I'm buying in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Man, he's my guy for this year.
Yeah.
Now, next year, I can't make any guarantees. I'll go back to Daniels. But right here, right now, He's cooking with gas, and I want to light that inferno, baby.
All right, then you got Swifty.
54 and a hook.
All right, so for me, I am on Colston Loveland's anytime touchdown. Rams are a pretty heavy passing touchdowns versus rushing touchdowns allowance rate here, so at plus 190, didn't score last week. And then that awful rush defense for the Bears will likely allow Blake Corum over some low numbers there at 45.5.
Yeah, no, it's good. I see the vision. I see it. You know, Colston Loveland, they hooked it. Better hope it's not Komet today.
Yeah, I'll tell you who it's. I tell you who it's not going to be. We'll run through your card later. Let's talk coaches next.